Grog.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Cider Shed. I'm Matthew Weir. I'm joined by Keri Warbis. How you doing, Keri?
Good, thanks, Matthew. Yeah, had an interesting week. I've had Doctor Who in my street.
Oh, I saw that. You were papping Matt Smith, weren't you?
I was papping him. Yeah, it actually, and then my photograph that I took went into the local rag.
Did they ask you?
They did ask me. They did. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the Swindon advertiser.
Yeah. I once made a video a few years ago of English football fans behaving terribly in Porto and singing horrific songs, to be honest. And I posted it online. And the Daily Mail asked me, can we use that? And I said, fuck off, you're the reason this is happening.
Oh, well done. I would obviously not have let the Daily Mail use anything. But I tweeted the image, and this local Joe Wadsworth, who works on, like it was the Brighton and Hove News. It's a free newspaper thing. So I said, of course. And then I saw that it was being shared by Matt Smith fans on Twitter.
Oh, God. Which then encompasses Game of Thrones and Doctor Who fans. You're going down.
And everything. I was like, yeah.
I will come back to this later, Keri, but one of the things I saw in the associated article, because I went online to look it up myself, immediately I thought, I want Keri to get the photo credit for that. So I immediately went on and checked that you'd been given the credit. And I guess we'll come back to this at some point, but apparently on your street, someone discovered a vortex to another dimension.
Yes. Yeah, they did. A wormhole, it was. This was widely reported, I think, in national press as well. And it was about 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly normal street. Doctor Who, wormholes to other dimensions. It explains a lot, doesn't it, really?
It does. We will come back to that at some point, whether it's today or in the future or elsewhere. Well, last week we wrapped up the Archers and we all took a deep sigh of relief because not relief, but just need to take 5 there. It was pretty heavy. And then I got really jealous of people in the UK because you were all treated to the Aurora Borealis. So, Keri, tell us all about it.
I woke up, having been in a sofa coma, to my street WhatsApp group sharing images of the lovely scenes they'd seen at the end of our street. I didn't see any, nor did my children. Then the following night, it was supposed to happen again. I had visitor down, and this was on Eurovision night. And by the time we'd Eurovisioned, which is a slog, let me tell you, we couldn't be asked to go outside at like 1, 2 in the morning. And actually, it wasn't that good the next day. So I saw none of it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone I know in England was at home with the curtains drawn watching Homes Under the Hammer. My dad, who is normally up till the early hours and lives in an area with zero light pollution, and there are fantastic photos from where he lives, was fast asleep.
It was bloody spectacular, though. The images are superb, aren't they? From all manner of parts.
Yeah, I like the way a lot of people are now pretending they didn't care. No, I don't care about the bloody Aurora Borealis. I didn't want to see that anyway. They can't even pronounce it, like I just failed to.
Yeah, there was a great tweet about the Icelandic tourist board really shitting itself because loads of people are cancelling their holidays because they've seen it in the back garden of, Bognor or whatever.
Well, my aunt that originally introduced me to the Archers, she went to Iceland. I think she was there for like 7 days to see them. And on the last day, they saw some kind of minute slither in the sky and they were like, right, that's it, everyone go home.
Oh, yeah, I've got friends who went and nothing happened at all.
Yeah. But your mates went to the supermarket, Keri, not the country, right?
Oh, dude, that's where they
All
went
right,
wrong,
on that
isn't it?
note, let's take a break.
Are you ready to mince some muscle, pork some pecs, rip some rump? Then get down to Vince Casey's Gymatoire today. We're offering a special one-off, never again to be repeated offer, this week only. Sign up now to Vince Casey's Gymatoire and we'll include a night out with Vince himself as he takes endless trips to the toilet, an NFT of David's solar panels, and a family-sized bag of tripe. Vince Casey's Gymatoire. He's slashing in the toilet and slashing prices.
I've got a lot about George, not much about Alice.
I didn't really focus on Alice, but I guess we should. A little tiny bit. I was more interested in the gymatoire or the abergym.
Have you been hacking my ads, Keri?
Oh, you haven't, have you? Did you call it the abergym
No, I didn't.
or the gymatoire?
I may have called it the gymatoire.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. I honestly had no clue. I just love the idea of a gym at an abattoir for morale and fitness and staff retention
But as I was doing the voiceover, I kept imagining Jim Lloyd pumping weights.
in the gymatoire.
Yeah.
Gymatoire Garnier. Anyway, yeah.
There are
Sorry.
plenty of Freddie storylines to come, apparently.
Oh, good. Love him.
Let's kick off with Alice because she's not going to stop, is she, in her present condition? And what is the sensible thinking behind letting someone just drink if they're an alcoholic, as long as you're there to keep an eye on them? Because there are some approaches that go with this. If you think in the interim you can't stop the person doing it, you just try and control it, which is what Rory is doing.
I think there may well be people who have tried this approach. I think he's going into it with a bit of a gung-ho attitude. This is my worry. Yes, in some ways, if she's going to do it, then all you might be able to do is make sure she's safe. But I don't know if necking loads of booze yourself at the same time is going to work. I think he's very naive and he's not in any way qualified, is he, to know what to do, and I don't think he's properly understanding how bad she can get. If she does neck like 1.5 litres of vodka again, will he be able to handle her?
Part of me thinks Rory's secret plan is to take her back up to Shoreditch. They go in the Woolpack. Alice finds out how much a round of drinks costs and she never drinks again. How much? For a double vodka and a pint of IPA double Bishop's arse?
I think it's about £7 a pint in London.
That's reasonable, isn't it? I think in London.
Maybe I go to all the scuzzy joints.
Keri's in Tower Hamlets, going in the pub where the Crays used to hang out.
One of those flat-roofed ones.
Yeah, never go in a pub with a flat roof, they say.
Yeah, I'm very worried about Rory doing this. He did speak to Adam a little bit about it, and Adam, he made a kind of cogent point, which was, well, she was drinking whilst at your house anyway, even though you'd removed all the alcohol.
Yeah, that was a valid point, wasn't it?
Kind of, but like...
Well, I think in as much as they can't stop her drinking at this point, she's so hell-bent on doing it.
Yeah, but they also can't be with her 24/7, can they?
No, but the alternative to that is one of them, as it was Brian last time, dragging her kicking and screaming into rehab with her screaming, "I hate you," because she doesn't want to do the program again. I mean, Harry had to work it out for himself, didn't he?
Yeah, it's the saddest part is she truly believes a baby has died because of her. So the two things are, she thinks that a baby's died because of her. She also thinks Martha would be way better off without her in her life. Doesn't really believe she has any worth whatsoever. So what actually is the point in her mind? She's done a dreadful thing that she cannot even remember. I cannot wait for someone to sort of just give her this little bit of hope and say, well, you know, we don't know that it was the car crash that caused the miscarriage. Or for Joy to say, well, what about the fruit cider? Something to give her a bit of hope.
That's the thing that's clicking along in the background here, isn't it? Every time Alice says it, and every time Tracy says, oh, well, she should be locked up. And when Paul said 6 people could have died, or Paul was it said that, I don't know. And you're just thinking, George is the factor in all of this, isn't he? He's the one that can change all of it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he is being bought hero pint glasses to use all the time in the Bull, being invited for steak and ale dinners with his whole family, to be lauded in front of the whole village.
Kenton's just like, you're a hero now. We've made you this special hero glass. It's actually, we had it re-etched. It was Rob's after the flood, but
is it a stained glass?
Yeah,
it's got a picture of Peggy on it.
Yeah, we melted down the one Peggy couldn't have in the church. Hope you don't mind. George, it's 12 feet high in like blue and red and green.
We've melted Peggy.
That's what happens in the Laurels after about 12 years, isn't it? And they just melt you
You
down.
sort of, yeah, sink into those high back chairs. But he's receiving these accolades in a very underwhelmed way, and he's saying like, "No, don't play this up. I don't really want it to be talked about. I certainly don't want people to question me about whether I saw the crash and so on." But yet he still isn't thinking he needs to or ought to reveal the truth about the situation.
It's eating away at him, isn't it?
It is a bit, but not enough.
Fallon, when she saw him tonight, she was like, "You're amazing." And I had riverweed inside my clothes when I was removing them, George. Did you too? And he was like, yeah, I think I better go, Fallon. She's like, I should hang around with heroes more often.
Oh God, yeah.
She said to Kenton afterwards, he was very strange, you know. I was like, yeah. He wasn't like he was last time. He wasn't in hay bale mode.
Did you notice how he had some trouble getting off the high bar stool and walking away in a natural fashion? Yeah, that was a very intimate moment, that conversation. I think Fallon has been extraordinarily good this week and the previous week. The actress and the characterization of her. She's coming across as an utterly warm, rational, collected, trying to deal with this situation the very best she can. She did break down a little bit with her mum. I was like, oh, it's everything. But that's because Harrison's being an absolute prick. That car journey, oh my God, where she went, oh, how are you feeling? And they were asking each other. And then he suddenly said, oh, and if you're going to start telling me off about how I spoke to that woman, Alice, who killed our child. She's like, child? And he went, well, baby. And it's like, fetus. And it's the fetus that they weren't even aware was there. And he's picking his moments rather badly, isn't he, too? And how he expresses himself. I still think, yes, he's hurting, but he's doing himself and their relationship no favours whatsoever.
Is this a religious thing with Harrison, do you think?
Well, he hasn't mentioned that, has he? But that doesn't mean it isn't.
The one thing that kind of gave me hope for their relationship when she said, I do love you,
Yeah.
but I just can't be around you right now.
And again, I can understand why. She's like, we both need time to process this. Otherwise, we're going to be saying things that are in anger and that we don't really actually mean. And it's a shame that the only way that they can do that is to be apart.
I found those old Dross demo tapes. They were shite.
It's because what they ought to be doing is really sort of coming together as a unit to deal with the fact that speech she gave where she was saying to her mum, I thought I was going to die. I was drowning. Like, she must have been absolutely terrified. He's focusing primarily on the fact that he thought he was a dad and now he isn't. What about the experience she's been through, let alone the pregnancy?
I don't think Jolene let her continue the story long enough because I think the reason she thought she was going to die in the back of Mick's car is because he was playing Grendel by Marillion.
Wouldn't that have been brilliant if his sort of what are those big fat ones called that you put in from donkeys ago into cars?
Super woofers.
No, actual, like, instead of a cassette.
Oh, 8-track.
Yeah. I could just imagine him having that. My best friend Jane's dad had a really lovely green Capri, and he had one of those, like, 8-tracks, and used to play the Carpenters a lot. Anyway. Yeah, I just think Jolene did miss a bit of a trick there with her daughter. She was trying to be encouraging, like, oh, well, it's just a bump in the road. And I was thinking, well, don't mention bumps in roads when she's had a...
I was thinking that as well because Fallon said, well, it feels like huge, great mountains, not bumps. I was like, she's looking directly at her mum at this point.
The mountains of Jolene. I did think Jolene wasn't quite getting the fact that how Fallon is having to deal with Harrison's. She just can't believe that Harrison seemed to think that by being pregnant would change Fallon's viewpoint on it all.
Well, not just by being pregnant, by finding out like 17 hours before or something.
Yeah, but he literally thought that information would change her into being someone who actually really now wanted to be pregnant.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Not simple. It isn't straightforward. And I think I do have some sympathy with Harrison, but not with his behaviours.
the first idea that we got of George's guilt was him hearing the news at the cricket on Sunday, wasn't it? Because Farndale, they were delayed, actually. I don't know if they'd listened to last week's podcast, they knew that all they had to do was go over the Brian Aldridge bridge. That's where...
I think it wasn't fair to make George play without any clothes on, though. Because when Tracy was trying to get him to play, he was like, I'm not even dressed. You mean, that's okay.
I'm just in my pants.
It's fine. Yeah, come on, bit desperate.
By the way, the refreshments for the game, like Kent and Jolene, laid on Sarni's chocolate cake, cream teas, Justin and Lillian, f***ing minted fruit. They're like the bastards you get at f***ing Halloween, aren't they? Who give you grapes.
Oh, well, there's an apple in the bowl of the sweets. But didn't you notice the other refreshment that I thought was interesting that they had?
Go on.
Quiche.
No.
Yes. How did you miss that?
Maybe that's why Chelsea wiped out over the wicket.
It's why they lost. Chelsea didn't do a bloody flaps up or whatever they are. Those pads. She said they were flapping around. And Paul was holding his own, apparently. George had no clothes on. No wonder they lost.
Farndale must have been like, who are these freaks we're playing?
Quiche off their faces.
It's like the Farndale show up like really well presented in a lovely silver minibus. They get out and they think they've arrived in Woodstock.
Yeah, exactly. I loved Paul. He was like, he loved wearing the whites, didn't he? But didn't think he had the muscles enough. And he was really sort of going, oh, I'm just here to make up the numbers. And I thought he was going to smash it and do loads of sixes and do really good chucking.
Well, he did better than Freddie, wasn't it? Because Freddie was ribbing him and going on and on about the terminology, didn't it?
Yeah.
Turn. It's an innings.
Yeah, I liked that.
It's a throw. You don't chuck it. And then afterwards you heard Chelsea go, did better than... No, was it Tracy said, did better than you? Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, Paul got 12 runs and Chelsea went, and that's 11 more than Freddie. Oh, I love Freddie, though. But Tom and Adam were shit as well, weren't they? They were mentioned as having been out.
They were out for a duck.
Oh, and Sean Gleeson compared Paul to Ravindra Jadeja. But then some horrible Farndale person called Paul a puff, didn't he?
I thought there would be more of a follow-up on that, and there wasn't, was there?
No, I liked how Tracy went, oh, we need to follow that up. Straight away took it really seriously. And it's Paul's decision what he does with that. And for him, the victory was just...
feeling his ball in his hand.
Yeah, I know. I don't think that's going to help things, really.
That's what he said, wasn't it?
It was. But, you know, you can imagine that, can't you? Someone being a right twat to you and you just going, thank you, I've caught you out. Goodbye.
Yep.
Lovely.
I've done that in football before.
You're not supposed to touch the ball with your hands in football. Tracy did a rousing speech, didn't she, about everyone pulling together and the spirit of Ambridge, even though they lost.
I think one of the Gleeson twins had died because we only heard about Sean.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently they were inseparable, weren't they? We heard about Tilly and Molly Button because Tilly is apparently the ace batter, isn't she?
And that was the incentive for George to go to the cricket, wasn't it? That he...
Yeah, even then I don't think it was. I just think maybe his thoughts were kind of occupying him and he just didn't want to sit around in his pants all day.
Maybe. Yeah, there was a lot of cricket. What about this boat painting nonsense?
The best thing about the boat painting nonsense is Eric got a mention. Eric.
Uh-oh. Boner alert.
He did. And what did they say?
She said he's great fun, but probably not relationship material.
Yeah.
Which means, yeah, we know what that means.
They're shagging left, right, and centre. But how did you feel about the fact that Kirsty was straight away when they were first at the boat was saying, "Oh, I love this boat vibe."
That's the best Keri impression of Kirsty I've ever heard.
Bloody love it, this boating. I love being near the river.
That's Phyllis from Coronation Street.
Percy. Percy.
Percy.
I used to be able to do a better Percy than that. Anyway.
Not Percy, a better Phyllis, you mean?
No, she always used to say Percy. It was the bloke she was knocking about with, wasn't it, Percy? The mystery of where they got the paint from, that was resolved on the second listen because Rex handily had some left over. So that's annoying. I thought they were going to be painting it a really dreadful colour that he would hate.
I know, because you asked this, brought this up in the midweeker, and you said people on Twitter are wondering where they got the paint from. And on very first listen, they said Rex says he's still got tons of boat paint left.
It's hard to absorb every word, isn't it?
We have to listen 2 or 3 times, don't we, sometimes, to
Yeah.
pick up every brilliant nuance.
So, right, this boat, which is metal, has been damaged by a car piece. Or actually, they thought it might be a shark at one point. Because you think it's the Ambridge shark?
No, that was Pip's suggestion, wasn't it?
Ooh, Ambridge shark.
There you go, the full range.
Oh, I enjoyed Pip's description of Rosie sort of running into school with all her plaits falling down and tomato ketchup all down her front.
I think the most dangerous thing for Rex's boat was they let Rosie sit on it while they painted it.
Well, there's less of it to paint then, isn't there? Because it sinks down.
This was a raft, wasn't it, Rex?
They're just painting the very top line thing. It's nice though. They were doing that out of the goodness of their hearts because Rex is still dealing with his father's illness, and Toby is in somewhere nice, Tuscany or something, isn't it?
Yep, doing wine stuff.
But how these two women have the time to think they'll just paint someone's houseboat? Not sure.
Pip never has time to do anything, does she?
No, but I'll paint this boat. That was a bit odd. But what it did was it got them talking about cuckoos.
That's the second time a cuckoo's been mentioned this month. Can you remember the last time?
Yes. Now then, I can remember the cuckoo sound. And who was it who heard it? Was it Denise?
I think it was Mick and Azra in the grounds of Lower Loxley, and a
That's
cuckoo.
it.
And he went, "You wouldn't hear that in Brum."
But I loved how Pip said, in Japan, it's a sign of unrequited love. And I was thinking, you're not in fucking Japan, you're in Ambridge. So hearing a cuckoo in England is a sign that
Your dad's about to gas a badger.
Badger!
you've painted a boat wrongly. But what it did, it made me think about Kirsty loving the boat vibe and whether her and Rex would love boat vibes together.
I mean, what was the model of Mick's car in all seriousness? Because apparently it fell apart as they attempted to remove it from the river.
Yeah, we haven't been told, have we? And also they did say, it can't be, the unrequited cuckoo thing can't be about Pip and Stella because they're clearly in love with each other. It's like, oh God, are they still getting along? That's annoying.
One of the things that I thought about with the whole Aldridge clan was when Jacob ran into Adam on Monday morning and he went, Adam, I'm glad I bumped into you. And Adam's natural reaction to anyone saying that to him was, is everything all right? No one's ever said that to me before.
Yes. Have you had a bang to the head? Yeah, Adam featured quite largely, didn't he? I liked how Adam and Alice in my notes were AA. I'm sorry. He cracked up, didn't he, when he said, she said, I just want another drink. Is it that hard? And he went, it's quite hard. Yes. You could see him sort of like biting his knuckles and...
Yeah, it's not funny, Adam.
Yeah, was he stifling a laugh? It's hard to tell, isn't it? Let's face it.
I think sometimes it's the lines they're given as well, isn't it?
Oh, Matthew, you're so sweet. But what do you do if someone's struggling with alcoholism? Invite them to Adam's house to stay.
And then force them to make you a lasagna.
He said lasagna. She said lasagna.
She said, I'd love to make lasagna.
What do you say, Matthew? Just out of interest.
Lasagna, sound.
Yeah, me too. Lasagna.
Listeners, let us know how you say lasagna.
Is lasagna posh?
I think it is.
Yeah, lasagna. Also, there was a shepherd's pie and a cottage pie being made this week.
Yeah, a lot of mince.
Loads of mince. Yeah. Roy made a shepherd's. Kirsty made a cottage.
What was unique about Roy making a shepherd's pie?
Well, he was webcamming his shepherd's pie action on a shelf.
Apparently he had Lexi propped up against the shelf while he was doing it. Page 42 of the Kama Sutra, I think.
What's shepherd's pie sex? Cam sex with minced beef recipes.
I think it's called Congress of the Herder, that position.
Nice.
Have you got a copy of the Kama Sutra, by the way, in the house?
I don't, no.
Okay.
I know you will have. No answer to that then. I do know is that 1970s classic, The Joy of Sex.
You have that?
Yeah, I can see it on my shelf. Yeah. With the lovely illustrations of the bearded man.
I know you've disparaged Bottom before in the past, but Adrian Edmondson's character buys Rick Mayall's character The Joy of Sex as a Christmas gift in that. And he opens it and he was like, "What's that?" And he went, "I haven't got time to grow a beard."
That is a good line. Yeah. I learnt everything from that book, from surreptitiously looking at it when it was on my parents' shelves.
Should we take a break?
You fucking started that. Yes, let's take a break.
Hello there. My name's Celia Sparrow, and I'm currently the councillor for cheese for the whole of Fawcett Magna. But things are changing. In the upcoming election, I'll be running against Helen Archer in the newly drawn-out constituency, which includes Ambridge, Massive Crotchley and Penny F***it. If elected, I promise to clamp down on illegal, exploitative dairy viewing windows, reinstate Lee Bryce as head of karate at the local playground, and, most importantly, tackle the ever-present danger to young people today, Borsetshire Blue being readily available on our street corners. Together, we can beat these wankers.
Borsetshire Blue is deadly. Repeat. Borsetshire Blue is deadly.
One thing I really, really loved about this week was Kirsty. Oh no, I'm not going to do the voice again. But, she went purposefully to meet with Fallon, feeling like they had some shared experience and wishing to offer support by saying, there are no rules. Here are my rules. I'm going to tell you all about them. Speaking about grief hierarchies. And Fallon was like, yeah, but it's slightly different. You actually wanted Ren. Different situation. Kirsty did not absorb that whatsoever. And then Chelsea came to the rescue because Fallon sort of went, Chelsea, I've got to do something over there with things in the tea room, haven't I? And Chelsea was like,
no, I don't think so, Fallon. Everything's under control. She's like, no, Chelsea.
yeah.
There's some made-up buns in the oven, aren't there?
And off she trotted. And then Chelsea was the most delightful person, where she said, like, I know from my personal experience what it's like when everyone knows your business and they all think they know how you're feeling or how they want you to be feeling, but no one actually knows except you. I thought, what a brilliantly wise sentence from one so young. And I know Kirsty was trying to do good, but dear Lord, it was heavy-handed.
At the end of that line, and Chelsea said, and then sometimes you don't even know how you feel.
Yes. I thought that was, and it really chimed for Fallon, didn't it? Because she mentioned later on how lovely Chelsea had been.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who isn't dealing it well is her policeman husband.
Yeah, let's see how that develops.
Okay, so the Alistair and Denise thing, I mean, it's just getting worse and worse and worse, isn't it? He's digging a big old vet hole for himself.
With almost every word that he utters, I lose respect for this guy.
But it's not helped by Paul's Columbo-esque approach, is it?
I love what he's doing because I just think he knows, and he's testing. He's testing. Because there was that right at the beginning. There was a bit where he was purposefully saying to Alistair that his mum had had chicken soup, her favourite soup made by his dad, and her goal was to go down and watch TV with his dad. You could hear like Alistair going, oh, sounds cosy, getting all jealous. And Paul's like, cosy? What do you mean? He bloody knows. He knows something's up. Paul's not daft. And I think he's just pushing he's just testing how far are you going to spin this yarn.
Maybe, yeah, because Paul filled in for Denise at the puppy parties. And he said, I know they were missing the wonderful Denise. And Alistair went, how is the wonderful Denise? And, Dad's very proud of her.
Yeah.
and hovering over. And I thought Alistair was going to be like, I didn't ask about your slag of a dad, Paul.
He's hovering on his peloton.
And then he was like, yeah, he made mum's recipe soup. And Alistair was like, yeah, I bet that was shit.
Yeah.
He was like, no, actually, it was really good. She really loved it. And then she's going to have a shower and get all warm and lathered up. And then she's going to go down and watch Homes Under the Hammer and ignore the Aurora Borealis. He was like, oh, sounds cozy. Paul was like, cozy?
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe you're right, Keri. I just think it's very, very overplayed for the dramatic effect. I don't think he does know.
I think he's relishing every second of making Alistair squirm.
Jakob comes in, he's like, for fuck's sake, Alistair, can you sort this shit out? And Alistair said, if only we hadn't had coffers after our puddings, we'd have never been there on the bridge, and 3 people would have just died, and I could have fucked Denise. But that is the chronology that he was wishing for, wasn't it?
It was kind of, yeah, it was. I mean, it's all fucking awful.
George isn't getting all 3 of them out of that car.
Yeah. I did wonder, please correct me here, fill in the gaps, on whether Jakob did know
He knows.
going this far and like that they were. Okay.
I like the way everyone was like, oh, so you didn't actually, was it Jazzer last week?
Mm.
And Jakob this week, like, so you didn't actually get to the hotel, Alistair? And he was like, no.
Oh God, I liked it when Alistair said to Paul, "How did the puppy party go, Paul? And did Peter Piper pick a peck of peppers?" What a line to give someone! But Mick is joining in as well, isn't he? Bloody loving it. Oh, I know how you can pretend a GPS bloody location was somewhere.
Well, Kirsty came down and found them with a map, and I was like, oh, it's going to get even worse now. She was like, oh, Kathmandu, I'd love to go hiking there. Let's go then. And then next minute, they're like on the phone to a travel agent.
Just to make the story work.
Yeah. Jakob said at one point, was it Alistair said, I feel like I'm in a terrible rom-com, and Paul walked back in. Who's in a rom-com? He went, Jakob.
Yeah. And Jakob went, thankfully, I have got a call out to a horse in Darrington, and horses don't spin elaborate stories. It's like, have you met Bartleby?
Or Cranford Crystal.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, mustn't ever forget him.
All right, Keri, should we take a little break and then have a little chat about socials and people?
Yeah.
As a cheese counsellor, I meet a lot with the general public. Let's see what some of them had to say about my opponent, Helen Archer.
No, not a fan. Her brother's a shite hawk, too.
Tried her yogurt once. Gave me the shits.
And what's your name, madam?
Keri.
And what do you think of Helen Archer?
Bloody prick.
Vote Sparrow, not Archer. I'm not a twat. She is.
Borsetshire Blue is deadly. Do not eat it.
Hey, Matthew, we've had 3 new reviews.
Oh, have we? Go for it. Let's hear them. I love it.
The first one, 5-star review from Sparkle 1970. And the title is Best Podcast Ever. Good heavens. Keri and Matthew, and occasionally Peter, are simply the best podcast. If you listen to The Archers, you'll absolutely love listening. So very, very funny. Patreons get so much more. I could never be without the cider shed. Thank you guys so very much.
Oh, that's lovely. I tell you what, I feel a certain amount of pressure from that best podcast ever.
Yes, I think she's been on the quiche.
Quite often, Keri and I finish the podcast prior to editing, and I said to Keri, I just think we stunk the place out. And then we edit it, and we're like, actually, no, it wasn't that
That's
bad.
all right, yeah. It's a funny old thing to do. Like, anyway.
It is, and some people actually did come forward later after our midweeker and had questions about podcasting, which we will come to at a later stage.
Good.
So, yeah.
Brilliant. We also had a lovely one from William George Bunter. And the title of this one, it's a 5-star one, is You're as Mad as Me. They say, I don't do social media. I find it too tedious. So between you and Ambridge on the couch, I get my fill of Archer's chat once a week. You're both mad. Hooray.
Just the two of us, or us and Ambridge on the couch? What do you think?
I don't know. But yeah, we are quite similar, actually.
Yeah, we are.
You make me laugh a lot. I really enjoy your show. Keep up the good work, guys.
Oh, lovely stuff. Like it.
The third review is a 1-star review.
Yay! Because the important thing about this is, if you don't read out your 1-star review, people say you're ignoring it. And when you do read it out, people say, oh, you can't take it because you responded to it. So
we can't win, really, can we? So
no.
I think, oh God, it happened. So we need to read it. It's, they took the time out of their life to read it. Read it, write it. You can edit that out.
I don't think so.
So this one's from Chief Red Wine. The title of it is I'm Off.
Well, check your sell-by date.
Oh, that's poor Matthew. And it says, have unsubscribed. The constant pushing for listeners to become Patreons has become unbearable. They used become twice there. Not great, really, in terms of...
Yeah, I'd mark that down in the test.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry to see you go, Chief Red Wine. I don't know if we do...
Oh, was that the end of it?
Yeah, but I'm not sure that we constantly push for listeners to become patrons. Most of our listeners are not Patreons, and they're all hugely loved and welcomed, and,
Yeah, 100%. And I would say that, last week was a exceptional week in the Archers, and it was a mega week for us because we released 2 episodes as midweekers. We did push that because we wanted people to know that we'd done it, and we even included like a 10-minute segment of what we'd actually done for patrons in the normal version. So we're grateful for everyone that helps out. So anyone that does want to support something that we give up our time to do, we're very grateful.
I do feel slightly guilty because I sort of went, hey, it only costs a couple of quid a month. We got 2 brilliant 5-star ones in the same week. So thank you so much.
It's all good. And, fair play to Chief Red Wine as well. But you know what Confucius says, Keri? Haters going to hate. Patrons going to pay. So let's welcome our new patrons, of which we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First up, Lisa Costello.
A big, warm cider shed welcome to Lisa Costello. Thanks so much for supporting us.
Yay, Lisa!
Yay!
Keri, that's your chance to ask Lisa about a famous relative.
Elvis Costello? I know it's spelt differently because you said it differently. And it's not even his real name anyway, is it? Probably. I don't
What's his real name?
I don't know, Matthew.
Thanks, Lisa. Very, very grateful for that. Next up, Laura Lee.
Hey, Laura Lee. Welcome to the Cider Shed Patreon. We're so grateful for all your help.
Badger!
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura, while Keri's furiously typing up what Elvis Costello's real name.
It's Declan Patrick Aloysius McManus.
Jesus, that's better than Elvis Costello.
Yeah, but welcome, Laura Lee.
Thank you so much. Next up, Lynn Thompson.
Well, hello, Linda Tomset. We're honored to have you here with us in the Cider Shed Patreon.
Set the controls for the heart of the badger, man.
Thanks for the support.
Thanks, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Next up, the wonderfully named Matthew White.
Hello, Matthew White. Nice first name you got there. Thank you so much for becoming a Cider Shed Patreon.
Let's badger!
Hi, Matthew. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Matthew. Then there's Ashley.
Greetings, Ashley. A big welcome to the Cider Shed Patreon.
Badger!
Thanks for all your help.
Yay, Ashley.
Cheers, Ashley. And then a person calling themselves Ryan Kelly.
That name sounds familiar, Matthew.
Does, doesn't it?
And why would that be?
People spotted this even before I did because I was off in work and I read it out in the middle of the week and I didn't really give it much thought. And then a lot of people came back and said, do you think? And I was like, no. But it bloody is, isn't it? It's Jazzer.
Hey, Ryan. Welcome to the Cider Shed Patreon. Thanks so much for helping us out. We have a few questions, if that's okay. What odds do you give our relationship?
I reckon we can make it work.
Okay, let's do it.
Excellent.
Can we please tie Martin Gibson to a pole and let your pigs devour him?
Sure you can.
Cool. How do you think Helen feels about Celia Sparrow's campaign ads?
She wouldn't be too chuffed.
And finally, How were you planning to enter the cider shed this evening?
That's easy. I can just shuffle up on my backside.
Thanks, Ryan. We salute you.
Badger!
Yay! We double checked just in case. And yes, lovely Jazza has become a Patreon supporter. And it was him who did that Bunter review saying that we're both mad.
Yeah, so thanks, Ryan. Thanks for coming on board as well. I think we've always been lovely about Jazza, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing Keri used to get quite wound up about was the amount that Jazza and Tracy fight.
Yeah.
But you actually spoke to Susie about that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
She acknowledged that it does happen.
Yeah.
We're really appreciative for everyone that contributes to the Patreon and helps us out. It takes time to make this thing, and we're grateful for it.
And we're really grateful for everyone else who listens as well, equally. Ambridge Pony Club did a funny comment about her mother watching a detective series called Bodkin. And there's a baddie in it who is called Badger.
Badger!
And she can't obviously take it in any way serious.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
No.
So let's have a little look at some of our Badger Sack content.
Let's have a look in the Badger Sack.
So this one was from Louise Polly, who I think is probably Louise Polhill. Is a wonderful badge. Can you see it, Keri?
The Badger of Honour enamel pin. She just had that advertised at her. 3 for £12 pins. Bloody great.
Yeah, Alex Hodge went on a little bit of a pub crawl around London.
Uh-huh.
First he found a pub that had Badger beer, and then he found a pub called the Ship and Shovel, which has, oh, you probably can't see it from that image, Keri, has a wonderful badger
I can.
atop the sign.
Oh, yeah. And Badger Dorset Brewers. But yeah, oh, that's good. Central London. This afternoon, saw badgers featured in 2 separate pubs. I had to stop and take pictures of them. Badger!
Badger!
Someone wants to remain anonymous here because, can you see what they passed on the canal?
Badger on a boat.
Yeah. Sheffield and Tinsley Canal, a very proud-looking badger standing atop something that it looks like it's killed.
Oh, yeah.
On the image.
Fantastic.
There's a couple of posts from Nina which I left in because I left in my terrible joke about Joy going, and I said it Joy by mistake last week, and when it should have been Denise going green around the gills. But Nina miraculously sent this in while I was still editing. Can you see it?
Paul said Denise is a bit green around the gills. What's she doing in green face paint round at home farm? Oh, green base makeup.
Fond de taint. I'm fond of the taint as well.
For God's sake.
What? So she had the same joke as me. And I think she also got ahead of us as well with this next one.
I didn't even notice the fond de taint. That's how pure I am. Okay, the next one. Wonder which side of the boat Rosie is sitting on doing her gluing and sticking and eating the ketchup off her school jumper. It's a picture of a houseboat barge type thing all tipped on one side.
Thanks, everyone. Look, we're going to stick a little Friday insert here because we're finishing up on Thursday because I'm off to Spain at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, so we've got to do things quick, fast.
It's only next door.
Well, it is next door, but it's still about 3-4 hours.
I'm going to be watching Arsenal try to win the league.
Yeah. Did you watch the Spurs game and were you cheering on Spurs, Keri?
Oh, it was so funny, that Spurs game. What about Son, whatever his name is? Bloody prick.
There is a... Next week, actually, we'll be wrapping up the Fantasy Football League, which we kind of left it on ice for a bit because it's been going a bit nuts. I got 128 points last week.
Wow.
But yeah, we will talk about the final standings in that and work out who's getting their Cider Shed merch for that. Keri, we'll say goodbye for now, but I'm sure there will be a little emergency announcement at the end about Friday after this. So Keri, we're back just to talk a little bit about Friday. No major drama, was there? It's Alice is kind of umming and ahhing about going up to the big smoke. Rory's being quite candid with Chris. George is starting to get into it, the hero thing, isn't he? You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah, and Rory is being quite pushy with Alice as well. I thought. She's not sure, and he's really twisting her arm to go there.
Yeah, personally, I think going to live in a student house in London is a massive recipe for disaster.
Of course it is. Him saying, "Oh, there will be rules, no booze outside the home, and you only drink with me." It's like as if she's going to adhere to rules. He won't be able to be with her 24/7. It's gonna go wrong, isn't it?
I think something's going to happen while she's in London that
Yeah.
outs George. The more attention you get, like the Echo are involved now, aren't they?
Yeah.
The editor of the Echo is there like, badger up a tree, sit on that story. We've got a kid who jumped into the river and saved people.
You mean that whilst Alice is away, George will be outed? Not that the tooth. You seem to say that something will happen to Alice in London that will out George. Is that what you mean?
No,
just while she's away. Okay.
Yeah, it may happen miraculously at the same time. Like something very dramatic is going to happen to her, and it's almost in the same episode. We find out George was behind the wheel of the car, and like it's one of these things where it's too late to tell her. You know, that classic kind of missed opportunity that you get in so many soap operas. Tracy was pretty chill though, wasn't she?
Oh, why was she chucking her 2 penneth in so gobbly? What's her beef?
Oh, I think it's a Martha thing, isn't it? And the pressure it puts on Chris. I was about to say her brother.
Her dad. Her twin.
That would get a few emails, wouldn't it?
Oh, I know. Yeah, that wasn't appreciated at all. I mean, God, keep your nose out. Nobody knows the full details for sure. It's all surface information and gossip. I'm not a fan of jumping to conclusions based on that kind of shit.
What else was going on?
Well, the big story, actually, today, for me, is that Martha is a dormouse.
Yeah.
Who knew that?
Well, it's hard to imagine the actor when they're on radio. I think, you know, they used to use those little yellow silhouettes for people that didn't yet have a voice actor playing them on the Archers website.
Yeah, the BBC. Yeah.
Hers is actually a dormouse shape. So we should have guessed it from that, really.
In yellow, yeah. Oh, God. Meanwhile, Lillian, bless her, she's running... Well, not bless her, I'm not a fan, but she's running around the stables with a broom up her arse. Alice is just like, yeah, I'll just go to London now.
I mean, one thing we haven't actually talked about was I was totally wrong that it was Shula coming back, and it was, in fact, Rory.
Thank God.
I thought at one point it might be Amy. I was really worried it might be Amy too.
Oh, no. Dear.
Or Amy and Shula come back in the same week.
Stop it.
For an intervention.
Don't spoil my Friday.
Imagine your type, an intervention that you'd be called to, and Shula and Amy would be there.
No. It has made me think, though, that like, none of them know what they're doing, do they, really? Like, Rory's like, yep, come to London, just drink with me, that'll be nice. But none of the family, like Chris, Alice's dad, even Rory, none of them have sought any advice of their own from any proper, like, Al-Anon or, you know, how to deal with this kind of thing. Not that I've heard, anyway.
No, they're all just winging it, aren't they? And I thought we were going to get a bit of Brian today.
Just, like, imagine yourself in this situation. Try to, like, you know, your sister or your wife or your best friend is doing all of this that Alice is. Would you not seek some sort of professional advice and help?
Yeah, well, I think they think the buddies for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that Lisa conversation was an interesting one. We haven't really spoken about that. She was quite hard, and I thought they sounded like, because we know what's been going on, don't we? And she perhaps doesn't know the full extent of it, but it seemed to me during that conversation that there was a possible suicide risk, and Lisa didn't really react to that, acknowledge it. She was happy to almost hang up the conversation. Perhaps that is what should happen. I don't know.
Well, she got quite narked about the fact that Alice was just rebutting everything, wasn't she? I'm not calling you because I need help or because I want to re-enter the program. I'm calling you because my brother made me.
Correct.
And Lisa was there saying, you know, I know what it's like. The voices, they get louder and louder. Well, actually, Adam's in the other room.
Yeah, I know what you mean about his voice. Yeah. It can get to you.
All right, Keri. Well, it's a bit tricky next week, isn't it? Because we're both travelling. and we're going to have to put our heads together probably over the weekend and figure out what we're going to do. So we'll get something out to you. I don't know when it's going to be recorded.
Yeah, I'm away Thursday to Sunday, basically. Hairdressers Wednesday. We're both working, so we'd like to put something out. We're not sure quite when or what size it'll be.
I'm working all weekend, so we will get something out somehow, okay? So just watch this space. Okay, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Bloody prick.